You're all set.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the May 20th, 2025 meeting of the Pownell Planning Commission. I'm going to start with a board member roll call.
Jim Winchester.
Fred Miller,
Stacy Boxer.
David Powell.
okay. Approval of agenda.
Move to approve.
Second, whatever.
We have a motion and a second. So all in favor? Aye. Approval of minutes for April 15th. We had tabled this one temporarily.
Yeah.
We've all had the opportunity to read it over again, and so all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Minutes for May 6th.
No problem.
So all in favor?
I have to abstain. I wasn't here.
Okay, so there's three of us, out of seven, so we'll table that.
Yep.
Okay, that brings us pretty rapidly to our main discussion. Our future vision discussion. We were gonna come with some ideas of what we've looked at the first part of the existing town plan, and you notice it's pretty wordy, quite a bit. And there's a subtitle of our vision or something like that, but it's like, it wasn't really clear what the vision was. So we were gonna bounce some ideas around. David, you had some ideas about
Yeah,
how to keep notes.
the minutes we had a few lines there. I didn't actually remember all of this. But I felt like the previous plan stressed over and over that the natural beauty was one of our greatest strengths. And I still think that's true.
Yep.
And I've been thinking a lot since we've been talking about the tag sale place and garbage and more enforcement and blah, blah, blah. And somebody said in one of the meetings last night about the landfill doesn't pay for itself. And I thought, wait a minute, the reason, at least for some people, that they're not taking the garbage to the landfill is because it costs more money and they need food on the table. It's kind of regressive in terms of who has to pay. If it's a larger percentage of their expendable income, I don't know why. I mean, we don't think about the fire department breaking even or the schools breaking even. Why do we think the landfill should break even?
I felt for a long time that part of the solution for the transfer station.
Yeah.
And the rubbish removal is education around recycling, composting. If there's something that we as a town can do to encourage people to do that, that's all free. It's like, and I don't think you have to have a dump permit to bring in your recyclables and your composting. I'm not sure, but
Well, there are certain things you can bring in there without a permit, but I don't know exactly what they are.
right, yeah,
There are certain things.
I think that would help.
yeah.
Like the reason people are throwing stuff over the wall at the track,
Well,
Or
I
burying
think the
stuff in the
permit fee
backyard.
is a little bit high.
it may be, I'm just thinking more generally, since it was evidently proposed that we shut the thing down last year. And I don't understand the logic of that. Maybe somebody here can explain to me, but to me, that would make it cost more for everybody.
Of course it would.
Yeah.
Of course it would.
And it's like anything, once you give something up, to get it back is like,
Well, yeah,
that's
that's also.
virtually
But to
impossible.
even consider shutting it down, and then, if it costs the town $100,000, or I have no idea what the numbers are. If that gets 80% of the garbage there, well, if we put another 50,000, well, could we get 95% of it there? I don't know. But, if the cost of, a $5 for a 30-gallon bag of garbage is an impediment to some people in town, we got to think about that.
Mhm.
So anyway, my one of the things I put is a financially progressively oriented town governance, which seeks to support educational and financial advancement of the disadvantaged in town. I think we have a big economic spread in our population here. That's where we have diversity, is in the economic spread.
Mhm.
And if we want to keep the town looking beautiful, we got to spend some money, or we have to, rejigger things so that the people at the high end who can afford it
Mhm.
pay a more of a share. How do we do that? Their property taxes. People who are renting aren't paying property taxes, or they're paying it through their rent. But it feels like long term, we got to help them get a better education. We got to help them find better jobs, and then they can afford things. That's the long-term vision. We're not going to do anything about that tomorrow, but that should be, at least in my mind, one of our foci for making the town a better place.
Mhm.
Amen. So there,
Well, there is the education component, but behavioral change is another.
Oh, yeah.
That's another whole
It takes
different animal.
generations.
Yeah.
It takes generations.
And attitude change, all of that is, I don't know if we're able to solve that.
I
To be honest.
don't think we're able to solve it in 10 years, 50 years.
Mhm.
But if we don't take steps in that direction, it'll never get
Yeah.
solved.
But, I agree with like making it easier. Finding ways to make it affordable is one, but educating them on why to do it, how to do it. Remove any stigma that they might imagine. Finding ways to do that might be helpful.
Mhm.
I don't know about hundreds of thousands of dollars of funding would require being raised by taxes and,
Well, my impression, and it may be wrong, is that that's the deficit last year.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
that's,
So that's what we paid.
Right.
Now, do we need to pay more? I don't know. And-
Yeah.
And that's not up to me to decide. But if the vision is to try to work enforcement on people who don't have the money to bring the garbage to the landfill, or don't have a car to bring it to the landfill, isn't going to do anything except add more burden to them.
Mhm.
It's not going to solve the problem. So if our task is the long-term vision, I think we have to sort of build into that we got to address this somehow. I don't have all the solutions by
Right.
any means,
Yeah.
but ideas like closing the landfill sounds completely
Right.
antithetical
Right.
to what we need to do.
definitely not.
I think that will encourage more of what we're trying to fix.
Well, I don't think they're gonna do that. They just invested in compactors.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
know.
we got the compactors now and they've gone over to Williamstown. I don't think they're in place right now. Maybe they are, but we don't have any numbers from Tom, of the new stuff. So
Right.
I don't know what we're doing.
It'll take a while.
Yeah, it's going to take a while, but I think that we're not going to close the landfill. We can't discourage people from trying,
Right.
and they got to try. And we just can't say throw the rubbish away because you can't afford it.
Mhm.
I don't know what we
I
do.
think using the landfill is less expensive than someone using a private car.
Oh, yeah.
Or Casella or something, yeah.
Well, Casella, and I got a new guy this week. He's in the trailer park. I went with him from down, Adams, but
So what would if we did anything with the town plan around that issue, what would it look like? I mean, how would we begin to word?
Well, I guess my top level concern was the discussion this last year to potentially close it, which
Right,
thankfully is gone.
right.
Secondarily, this idea that somehow the landfill should break even. I think it's a town service.
Yeah.
And it's a town service in our own best interest.
I think maybe if we highlight that
Yes.
in our town plan and maybe begin in a small way, some dialogue about educating and encouraging people to use it.
Yeah.
Finding ways,
And this town has certain things that other smaller towns don't have, like this landfill. So, we can't just expect it to be making us money.
right,
No,
right,
can't make money. But
yeah.
I mean, it would be nice.
But I think in the scheme of things, it's saving the citizens money.
yeah, it is.
You know, I mean, it may be, $2 out of my pocket and $1 out of this pocket or vice versa. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I think it's saving us money and, we're looking at just the tax bill to the town. That's not taking in the whole picture.
Right.
Then the fact that much of the town has sewage is a plus.
Has sewage, septic, the sewer doesn't cover much of the town at all.
Sewage.
That doesn't cover much of the town.
No?
No, very small area.
Yeah, I thought it covered like half, more than half. No?
I mean, Jim, you know more
I think
about
I-
this than I do.
Well, it does in an area down there
Yeah.
and up here, but the rest of the town is,
Using that as an example for funding. Not everybody in town uses that septic system.
Right.
But we all pay for it.
Right.
There's like 330 users.
yeah.
And
But if you're a user, you pay a quarterly fee.
then they pay
And then everybody pays.
At the end of the
bond
year.
fee on their taxes.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's $85.
But that could be a model for something with
Right.
with the transfer station, like an annual fee of your membership fee. Automatic, part of your taxes.
Well, a lot of people
I think
use their
there's-
own private dumpsters too,
Right,
I mean, a lot of people
Yeah.
use Casella.
Yeah, well, I use my private septic
Yeah.
system, but
Yeah.
I still pay the,
No, I got it. I got a private system.
Yeah. so, 50 to 75 bucks on the taxes. Buys every home, a membership to the transfer station.
Absolutely,
You know.
it does. And, that's not a big, not a big number. I don't think.
Yeah. That wouldn't necessarily want to put that in the town plan, but it's like a solution that we could offer.
The other thing that I was thinking about was this whole thing with the cleanup effort that went up there. And I know that was a little bit dicey because it couldn't be a town thing because of liability. And so it was a volunteer thing. But bottom line is stuff got done. It's nowhere near done, but you did a good cleanup. And everybody who went there felt good about what happened. And I was talking to, what's the name of the new select woman?
Jean.
Jean, yeah. And essentially just, encouraging a spirit of volunteerism.
Absolutely.
People like it when they can do something that helps the town and helps their neighbors.
Of course it does.
And, that seems like a no-brainer. And yet, I think, the powers that be or whatever are busy with their budget and the road crew and the da-da-da-da-da. And, we're all over here looking for something to complain about. But if we really thought about, well, what are opportunities where we could engage people and maybe use some volunteers to clean up by the river or, whatever like that, I think a lot of people would love to do that.
We've done that over the years.
Yeah.
And, it's, Gary Deli and whatever, we pulled cars out of the river, we took stuff to the dump, which we had to pay for.
Yeah.
It's good. But there's certain element of people in town that think you're a sucker up there. Just clean this up because of the guy that owns it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been a pain in the ass for a long, long time. And he seems to beat us. He's been beating us for 50 years.
Yeah.
So, What do you do?
Well, doing nothing doesn't seem to be getting.
No, I agree with you. No, I agree with you, but there's a certain amount of people been here a long time.
Yeah.
And this fella just keeps beating us, and he's got a mess up on the hill. I mean, he owns the hill across from the Dollar General. That's quite a mess too, but, and there's dumps up there that we don't know about, and then it looks like he is, anybody can take him on. They can't.
What can Pownell or any other town do to prevent something like that?
Well, that's what I say with the place in Williamstown.
Yeah.
By Steiner Film.
Yeah.
I mean, I go there every day. It's been there for 50 years.
Straight down Route 7, right?
And the guy owns it. Yeah. I mean, he just brags about owning it. Goddamn bastards, they're gonna do nothing to me.
Every town has it.
Got it. Yes, they do. Every town across America.
Oh, yeah.
And if we look at that and say, well, you might as well give up.
No,
Oh, yeah,
no, we don't
It
give
was, you're right.
I
Never get
watched,
to 100%.
Oh, I got you. No,
I
I
watched from a
understand.
distance as that meeting unfolded, and it went started from more of a hostile place,
Yeah.
and with people speaking up and offering the help, I think they definitely did something.
Yeah.
There's a new spirit in town.
How much
People were fed up
that can
with
happen.
what was going on there.
Oh, yeah, no question about it.
Got to the point where we just couldn't look at it any longer.
People
It
would
looked like a bomb went off there.
And there are plenty of other places in town that aren't much better, and I don't know the solution, but I think maybe the neighborhood might, if we could get a dumpster there and they wanted to volunteer, and I don't know about the fees, maybe, there are opportunities where, some communities might be able to make.
I think that's all of it is well-meaning and everything, but it's like all dependent on personality types.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, certain neighborhoods,
You're not gonna
people
get-
argue with each other, and you and I come in there and say, can we help you out and get the hell out of here, that is.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes they say, man, I would love it.
Mhm.
That's
So
another option.
I'm just generally, I don't.
You're positive.
I don't want to be defeated by the reality that everybody isn't going to go for.
I agree.
I want to just go with what we can get, because as we gradually get better, this is the thing, it will take several generations
Sure.
to go to a whole new, paradigm, if you will, but we got to start. I feel like that's what our job is to.
I think our starting place should be built around the idea that everybody that's here wants to be here,
Yeah.
likes being here. And we all see something different about Powell that we want to cling to.
True.
So that, that's a common place for all of us. Building off that is the challenge, I think.
Oh, yeah, and I totally get that there are a lot of people, and I can't disagree with them. It's my land, I can do whatever I want on it, and,
Within reason.
well, but there is the reason.
You shouldn't be able
So
to.
my daughter lives in Minneapolis, okay? And she loves bees, so she decided to let her lawn grow, okay? It was about 3 feet high. And the city said to her, either you cut it or we're gonna fine you and we're gonna cut it and bill you for it, okay? So certain towns have the ability to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we do.
They
I don't know if the select
have the
board-
resources to fight it in court.
I don't know if the select board can enforce something like that.
Well, that's the thing. We really don't have the resources to try something extreme or
And I might guess
something
that,
heavy handed.
you said sister or
Daughter.
daughter has the resources to mow her lawn or to pay somebody to mow her lawn. It wasn't that, it was, she was, had a different priority, whatever. But we're talking about people who don't have the money to, hire a dumpster and get all the crap out of their yard.
I had a guy from Williamstown.
Wouldn't have needed a dumpster if they had done it a little bit at a time.
Hindsight is
From-
wonderful,
from the
but here's
beginning.
where we are.
I was just thinking of ticks, and the guy went to Williamstown to look at ticks, and he walked in. Boy, he says, you ever try mowing your lawn? And the guy said, well, we're doing this in May, and he said, I don't think I can help you unless you mow your lawn.
Yeah.
He said, there's ticks out there up the yin yang, you know?
Yeah.
So there's problems with not being. And I'm not against it, somebody not mowing their lawn if they live off wood. But you see a neighborhood and you pick out the places, you go down Cole Avenue, they're all mowed except for one maybe.
Right. If you're in a certain neighborhood
Right.
with certain price houses, they should all look similar.
They should.
But we can't legislate that.
No, we
I
can't.
don't think.
Well, neighbor.
Well, yeah, I
I
mean,
don't-
Old Bennington, that's.
I don't
Yeah.
think we want to go there.
No, I don't think.
I don't think so.
That's not our objective.
White and black.
Yeah.
Yeah, you start legislating or try to have a hand on how to live on your property,
Right.
you're gonna end up with purple and pink houses. And it's like an expression of
Manchester.
a rebellious expression, and you really
Yeah.
can't do anything about it. So you don't wanna take that approach if you don't have to. So,
What I was told when I first moved to town is you can do whatever you want on your land as long as it doesn't piss off your neighbor.
yeah, well,
And that's about it.
That would be
Yeah.
good. You know, if everybody took that into account.
yeah, but you can't really, you're not responsible for how your neighbor.
And some neighbors are.
Some neighbors are
watching.
they're gonna just looking for a reason to be.
Yeah.
They don't want you there. They don't want a neighbor.
No, they don't want it. Anyway, yeah, especially a new neighbor.
Yeah.
What can we do with it? We can't do nothing really. We can talk education, maybe to the school.
Education, again, if we're talking vision, you know, I think trying to figure out a way to encourage more community involvement, volunteerism, things like that, they're all good.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it's for, it builds community spirit, makes people care. And that is contagious over time. It's not going to change anything overnight, but it's a good thing. Let's do it.
Your property's worth something.
Mhm.
I mean, it, has value, but when you sell it,
Mhm.
but a lot of people don't own the property anyway.
So,
And I
We
guess
talked
the
about it.
question I had, you know, we're talking about business development, which would be great.
Mhm.
There's so many contingencies to
mhm,
get to there. The fact is Williamstown has all kinds of resources and all kinds of facilities and stuff like that, and we're not going to do that here.
Right.
No.
Part of what's nice about Pownell is it is beautiful and it's a lot more affordable.
Mhm.
And those seem like things that we'd like to protect. I don't know about the people who are coming in and buying these beautiful farms now for $1 million and
Mhm.
putting up their house and whatever. What do they expect from Pownell?
they
Not
buy
much.
that much land, they build a big house up on the hill, they expect Pownell to leave them alone.
Uh-huh. Well, maybe that's great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And if we can tax them based on obviously their ability to pay.
Yeah.
Then I think we all win.
Which I think does happen. I mean, it's like based on, what is it,
Yeah, the list of the
by,
property.
on the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or whatever.
Whatever.
I think, I don't know if we want to encourage that as much though, buying an old farm and splitting it up and building a house. It's like when, one of the notes I had is like focusing on senior housing. It brings back the idea of having a senior housing community somewhere where seniors can, they're too old to maintain their home. They can sell their home, they can stay in town.
Would
and sell it.
Habitat for Humanity get involved in something like that?
That's
I think that's a
one
good
thing I
idea.
had a thought about is they might.
So are you thinking about a complex with, 10, 20, 30 apartments?
Yeah, yeah. Every town, Manchester has them, Bennington has them, Shasbury has them, North Bennington has them.
If you have 30 units and you're not on town sewer, how big a septic do you need and
Yeah.
where can you put that?
Right,
Arnold isn't a very good septic town.
right.
ledge, ledge, ledge.
That's right. I mean, I like the idea.
Well, I think the septic system does run
To the trailer park.
as far as, Jackson Crossroad. So there's a lot of land between here and Jackson Crossroad
Uh-huh.
that would be suitable. And it would be a little walking community. There might be some small shops for the seniors to visit, some gathering places.
Is this on town sewer here? It is, okay.
But, the main point is
Town sewer, this road and all.
there's a turnaround on some of the existing properties that way.
I understand that the trailer park is sold over here though. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a house. The guy bought quite a bit of land.
Yeah.
And, the guy that bought the store, right?
There's some people.
Oh, did somebody buy the
Yeah.
gardeners?
Yeah,
Oh, good,
yeah, he's a nice guy.
good.
He's buying a lot of land here. He's telling me, he's got a grandfather that's got a lot of money. He's a young boy.
Somebody bought Royal Pine Villa, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, Royal Pine Villa and a house,
They're refurbishing the old
Is he new
trailers.
to town or is he somebody who's been around here? I don't know.
No, new town, young kid. Just going to buying property. I think he bought a store in North Bennington and another store somewhere and several houses. Well, he says, I'd like to buy everything for sale in Pownell. He likes Pownell. But he's from Kentucky and,
Talk to this guy.
well, he's around.
Yeah,
Go to the store and talk to him.
yeah.
Yubi is his name. He's got a long name. He's just call me Yubi. Yubi. That's enough. And I've talked with him quite a bit. Yeah. Good kid.
So, yeah, it sounds like maybe there is potential
There is.
for, senior housing or, apartment complex or condo.
Well,
might be.
The church is trying to buy the trailer park verdicts. And I think they can't. I don't think nobody owns it really. And it's just the people that own it and he died, left his son doesn't want it. And then his wife does and is, this and that. But nobody really collects the rent. And
Well, I know a person has been trying to, and she was appointed by the court.
yeah.
But that's another.
Another issue.
That's another whole.
But I think that the church might buy it. I think they got the,
I'm sorry, Miss, which property is this?
this is a property, Burdick's Trailer Park, just before you cross the bridge going across the river,
Lincoln Street.
Yeah,
Lincoln Street. And there's a little trailer park there.
yeah, okay,
And the church is around the corner
right.
and they're good people. I
Is
mean,
that on septic down there?
yeah.
Okay.
Goes up to Terry's, I think. Goes to Terry's, the septic.
I think it is.
Yeah, it goes up to
Crosses the river.
Terry
It
Park.
doesn't go up my,
Value.
Yeah,
doesn't go up my
no, it
neighborhood.
doesn't go to you.
A map?
No,
Oh, yeah, maybe there is a map in there.
but, yeah,
Septic is. Good thinking.
If you go onto Town View from the website, you can turn on sewer district and you can see everywhere.
Really? Okay.
but there's things happening in Powell. This kid's buying some land and this friend's trying to buy some land. So in another 5-10 years, there'll be a lot of changes here. And I think it'll be good.
But this guy isn't doing anything with new homes. He's taking the old
Right,
beaters and refurbishing them.
right. Well, he likes the place out back,
Yeah.
her place.
Right.
That's what he liked. That's just what he really bought.
Yeah. Yeah, for the store.
Yeah, the store.
Oh, yeah.
Well, to follow up your idea with the same question, so what do we put in the plan that moves us in the direction of encouraging elderly housing?
Well, the idea of, one of the things I think a lot of people like are views. The large pieces of land, you don't necessarily want a house in the middle of the mountain, if you can avoid it. So encouraging, I guess, the short story is just encouraging the turnaround on existing housing stock.
How do we do that?
Well, you know, it's like the land down, the new selectman lives. There's 14 acres
Yeah.
there in between two houses.
Right.
And it's a nice place. That's the place.
Yep, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Big house,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But septic isn't there,
right,
but it could be there.
right.
If you had a nice area
Uh-huh.
and, that's one place I think they miss about not putting septic.
Go down a road and I've got sewer there.
A lot of farmland between
Goes all through.
where the septic ends and North Powell.
Right.
Cedar Hill Road going down that hill.
But,
Well, where is it, the line must
So this
run
is
down
not-
there to
this
get
is
to
not
the sewer
a-
plant.
it goes by it, but it doesn't do it.
Doesn't connect.
It was not for a building. It was to take red spots, places going into the river.
Yeah.
That's what, basically what it was for.
Uh-huh.
And there was a lot of red spots. So, you know,
Public
we bought Clayton's. So Clayton's, there was a pipeline in the river. We had to take that and put it in the septic.
Okay, well, I'll have to dig around.
But that was,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's in here somewhere.
Where did you say on the website it was?
That's on Lincoln Street.
Yeah,
Lincoln
Lincoln Street,
House.
yeah. Yeah, that Lincoln Street's kind of a,
Helpful information?
the only people that seems to do good with the Shires outfit. They make money.
Yeah.
The Shires, who are they?
They're Bennington,
Oh, okay.
but they move around. I think they bought the place, down in North Pownell, Dock Ridge Road on the left. They bought that property and built a house there.
Cyrus did that?
Yeah. But everybody I talk to, they say, well, they make money. I don't know what's wrong with making money.
They do a lot with, public housing.
Yeah,
So,
they do.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to them sometime, but you know, I think.
I don't know about public housing in Pownell. Well, we got the mobile home parks.
Yeah.
Those are, affordable. They're definitely affordable. They got their unique problems.
The state pays them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've just gone through all the maps in the 2019 or whatever year this
Yeah.
is, and it doesn't have the sewer lines.
Right.
We should have that in here because that's kind of fundamental to
Right.
development.
Yeah.
It wasn't put in for development.
Well, I understand that, but as we're thinking
Oh,
toward.
no, I'm saying about the spot that they missed. It went with Blue Ray by it.
So we should make sure that's in the new plan.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
yeah, it was not for development. It was for red spots. Putting straight pipes into the river.
Yeah,
That's what they cleaned up, basically.
yeah, that's great.
So
Yeah.
as far as my vision is not a lot of overdevelopment
All right,
for Pownell.
that keeps it.
I think
beautiful.
I've been here my whole life and I like it the way it is. I don't want to get taxed out of my home. So we have to solve the problem with taxes, and I know you have to build some to be able to ease that burden.
Right.
There's, if there's other ways to do it.
Yeah.
That'd be great too. So, the main point of my vision is not overdeveloping the town.
Mhm.
There are certain places that are more naturally a natural fit for development.
Yeah.
We don't want to invade somebody's neighborhood just because it's not my neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, there were a couple places in the plan where it talked about specific, like the view west along Route 7 or Burlington Road.
Yeah.
Let's keep that out,
That's
That's
nice.
beautiful.
Great. So and when we get around to doing zoning, we can make sure we build that in if it's not already there. I think it is.
I think there's a lot that's already,
Right.
Well, the Burlington's own a lot of it, and
Can we say that we don't want any building on certain areas?
no,
Do that, right?
No, but we can restrict, you have to have this much parcel and you're not allowed to build higher than this and.
and I think that are.
I think except for the church that bought the land across from the Parneville barn.
Yeah.
She sold the land to the church. And they were gonna do something with it, and it's
Whatever happened to that?
well, they're still going. They say at the time there was a pandemic and whatever, there was some hardship.
They were ready to build, I think,
They were,
two
yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
They bought the land though, so they got the land. So we put in a plan, the town plan then, that you can't build anything on 7 all the way down. Larry Lloyd's has got the only place
Right,
up in the.
up on the hill, up on the
Yeah,
hill there, yeah.
So that land is restricted. And really isn't much land, it's down, whatever. But it does start at right here, across the street. The place that has a takeout, I mean,
Little ice cream parlor?
yeah,
Yeah,
all the way down the hill, you can't put anything.
right.
Bonneville Barn is, there.
We have the church gonna go in.
The church is going across the street,
Going, yeah.
that's whatever. But churches can go pretty much.
The rest of it's sort of like a drop off
Yeah, yeah,
ravine anyway.
yeah, yeah.
Up on the other side of the road though, it's like.
Well, that's beautiful.
I think
But
Burrington's
that's-
is all pastures and.
Yeah.
That stuff will be developed from Hidden Valley Road
From
and,
my house, I can see the view.
so you'll see houses up on Hidden Valley Road looking.
Yeah.
Hopefully a beautiful addition. So to your point, yes, it's the natural beauty, and we want to keep the taxes affordable, which, given the fact that insurance is going up, payroll is going up every night, that just means taxes are going up. Now,
Of course.
people's income hopefully is going up too, except when we're on fixed income, but there you are.
Yeah,
And the only other thing that strikes me, like, reading through here, when the school was built, the population at the school was a lot more than it is.
sure was.
So, I got no complaints about the school, but, I've always wondered about, school, library, some of these different facilities.
Things that people look at in town when they want to move
And the
here.
firehouses and different things like that. These are all things that we have that are single purpose.
Mhm.
Now, efficiency comes if we can use it when it's unused for other purposes too. That's how we avoid having to build another facility. Now, I don't know, what that looks like. And I know we got to protect the kids in the school and not have, a bunch of adults raging around there during school hours. But what about after hours? Why isn't it more easy for the town to access it?
Well,
The town doesn't own it.
We lost it.
Bennington owns it.
Bennington owns our elementary school?
They took it.
Yeah, they do. They don't get it.
The town of Pownell voted twice not to merge.
Oh, God.
And town of Woodford did the same thing. And the state said, well, that's nice you voted, but we're gonna force it. You're gonna merge.
Oh, so.
And when they merged, the supervisory union from Shasberry, Bennington and all that, well, they wanted that asset and they took it.
Yeah,
So
okay, I do remember a little bit.
So they built a big
They
school.
pay in town?
But
The middle
They didn't
school
pay
will
us,
take
they didn't
it
pay us anything.
someday.
They just took it.
They just took it?
Yeah,
Eminent.
Yeah.
back when it was built, it was the racetrack days.
Right.
And a lot of kids were here and the
Big
racetrack.
families.
Yeah, yeah. And, it was,
I started out at Oak Hill.
well, my kids
They were
were the
building that
last
school.
Oak Hills class.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah.
So my son owns that building now.
Yeah, does he own it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a nice guy, yeah.
The old Oak Hill School
Down,
That's that.
on Oak Hill School Road.
Yeah.
It's right between 346 and 7, where it comes down here. It's,
Oh, yeah.
where the Freeman Over is.
yeah, right where it's, right next to it.
The guy up the hill owns it. Anyway, we'll get there.
Yeah.
It's a riot. Oh, God.
Are there other ideas that, become part of this vision?
There's a lot of pluses and minuses here.
Well, we touched on housing and we touched on rubbish removal.
I think maybe some more, I'm not gonna say low income housing, but less expensive, not like $800,000 houses.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's possible to even build a $200,000 house today.
Yeah.
But a few of those would be nice.
They're building them across the river.
Hmm?
Across the river, they're building them.
Oh, yeah?
Across the
Oh,
river.
yeah. Oh, yeah, some nice, nice
Off
houses.
Montgomery Road.
Yeah. Off Montgomery Road.
Okay.
And, it's, has a million, that's, sold over 1 million, the Harsh House, and then we get the big house up above.
Okay, he's talking low income.
Well, I know, but those houses being built, and they don't have to come down
I
here.
mean, there's no such thing as low income
Well,
because the building materials and the land and everything is just so expensive today.
Oh,
I
yeah.
happened to be on a call last night where there was a presentation from Habitat for Humanity. And, their biggest obstacle right now is finding inexpensive land that they can build on. So if there's a corner of the town forest that we don't want for a forest and we could donate some, they could put a house up there. I mean, I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but, there
What they've done in other communities, what they've done in Bennington,
I did Williamstown, they're doing some,
up in Manchester,
yeah,
they're building a street
yeah,
Yeah.
or a circle, a cul-de-sac, a circle. And
Cul-de-sac.
there's houses circling,
yeah.
there's several houses in their development. And it's for affordable, it's for,
And that makes it more efficient
Affordable.
because they can work on them at the
Yeah.
same time.
and they're homeowners, they're gonna take care of it. They're really,
So something like that would keep our taxes lower.
yeah, that would help, definitely would help.
What Massachusetts is trying to do is get single people living in a house. And they want them to move in with their parents.
Huh.
So, or the kids own a house, move in their grandpa's house, and that would free up a house. Because you've got more single women that living in Powell than you could shake a stick at. The husbands have died and they're living alone, and they don't want to leave.
Right.
I mean,
Well, that's the thing, it's like,
because, that frees up a nice house.
But you're right, that was in those model
Right.
zoning things we talked about. I can't remember what you call those auxiliary houses.
Yes.
Allowing that to happen, which I think is great.
They want you to build a small room, under your deck or on your garage, upstairs, whatever.
grandma's
And,
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not happening. It's happening as people die.
I assume because we used to have a higher population that we have a lot of abandoned houses here.
There's some that are,
There is a lot of abandoned houses here.
So is it, I don't know,
Well-
if it's cheaper to fix up a derelict house or to,
well, then you gotta go down the route of discouraging somebody from just letting it sit,
discourage them from what?
letting it just sit
Uh-huh.
and until it collapses. And that happens a lot,
Yeah,
not just in Powell, but in other towns.
sure.
But,
They just hang on to it forever, whether they're never gonna use it.
there is a lot of abandoned houses here, though.
and
And
that's another thing that doesn't add to the beauty of town.
no, it doesn't.
Right.
So, if we're thinking long-term, what's the solution to that? It's to get people who want to live in town to buy the house and fix it up,
Mhm.
right? That'd be the best solution.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know a guy in town, he owns 3 places that are empty.
Yeah.
A trailer and 2 houses. And one he got from his wife, the trailer, and she doesn't want it, he doesn't want it. So nobody wants it. It's got enough,
He wouldn't want to sell it?
no, he doesn't want to sell it. He doesn't want to sell anything.
Oh, it's just a hoarder.
He's a hoarder.
Yeah.
It's a little bit to fix up the waters in another house. There's so many things.
Yeah.
People sharing septic systems,
Yeah.
that goes on a lot in Pownell, and water. People share water.
Yeah.
So, but they don't say anything. So when you go to buy it or you go to see, you see, wait a second,
Hot water,
I don't have water. Or who's going to pay the water bill? No, argue about that, so they don't buy it. And this is why these places are empty. Because of that reason.
yeah. Right. And that's okay. Rentals are good too. We need it.
Nothing wrong with them.
Yeah.
They're good. But I'm just knowing people that own things that don't want to use them.
Yeah.
So whatever they do. And they've got enough money to not. A lot of people have bought a lot of property here that Bizards have. You know, Ronnie and his brother, they bought a lot of properties and, you know, rentals are very good if you get the right people.
Yeah,
And you get the wrong people here in trouble.
yeah, yeah, I wouldn't want to be renting.
But, no.
But
I don't know, it's for rentals, if you can,
Make any money?
well, if you can, as a town, if we can ask that you get a register who's living in your town.
We've crossed this bridge with the, Airbuses. We touched it and boy, they come after us.
Yeah, yeah,
Big time.
yeah.
There's a lot of people here across the
So
street.
what we have,
Yeah,
we have, you know, a lot of people, these old mobile homes
yeah.
that are being rented, and some of them are being squatted in. And but others, you know, they're being rented. They're fly-by-night operations. It's like, you don't know who's here,
don't
then
go there.
you look at the banner and it says Powell man arrested for, it's like.
They don't live in Powell, they live in the trailer
Oh,
park.
this guy,
I know.
Powell man, you know?
You see it all the time. They don't live here.
so if this is one of the current problems,
Yeah,
what's the vision for how we move it in that direction?
you know, the most valuable piece of property in town
No,
is the trailer park.
really, wow,
All the trailer park is the most valuable piece of property in town.
because.
And it's been bought 4 times
Yeah,
and they've all done good.
wow.
And, you know, I told you to go in there, but,
Yeah.
anyway, it's about $500 for a lot. You know, and,
For rent.
a rent, just the spot.
And you stick your mobile home on it,
Is that a year, a month?
that's a month.
Month.
Yeah, that's good income, good
Good
cash flow.
income. Some people don't own
As long as
it
people
away
pay.
off. They live in Las Vegas, I think. They own a lot of properties and whatever. Anyway,
Well, I mean,
So the
if
question,
there are things going on in the mobile home parks that are causing problems, we could be thinking about writing some rules about that, whether it's zoning or I don't know what.
Right,
You know, this is an area I don't know anything about, but
Do they have a garbage problem?
they have,
Parks,
no, they're all taken care of.
they're good,
Yeah, yeah. Because these new people are good.
because they have community garbage, I assume.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Community water, they got community water
So
now.
they're not throwing garbage on the
Right.
side of the road.
Right.
So
Well, they burn
who's
garbage.
doing that?
Yeah, they do burn garbage.
They burn
I
garbage.
don't know, I do the same road every year on Green Up Day and it's amazing to me how much stuff I find. You know, why do people just throw it out there?
it'd be virtually impossible to regulate a mobile home park because they're protected by the state.
Is that right?
There's not much you can do. Not much you
Interesting.
can
Not
do.
much you can do. We got laws against it, but what you can burn and, you know.
Well, I guess the only thing I want to look into it. I mean, it's like, you know, I remember hearing we can't do anything about, you know, a crosswalk because, you know, it's a state thing and we can't do it. Well, turns out we can.
Sure you
We're
can.
really open to it. So some of these things that we haven't tried, well, we can look at it, you know, what the heck?
I like the idea of slowing traffic down on Powell Mountain,
Yeah,
all the way up. I don't care. It's like, it was made like a fast lane for that racetrack.
yeah,
And the racetrack is defunct, so we don't need all that. And, you know, it's a behavior modification, and it takes some training, some speeding tickets or something. But eventually you slow people down and, you got natural, you got bike lanes and walk places to walk, and it's like safe,
yeah,
you know, you got the gift barn down here, right on the passing zone. People slowing down to turn in there and somebody's speeding up to pass, you know.
well.
Route 8,
BCRC report and, you know, getting a crosswalk
Yeah,
and some
yeah.
flashing lights to let the kids get across the street.
That would be a good
Particularly if
plan.
we can develop, you know, a little bit.
A section
more.
of town.
New owner, maybe he's planning to
Yeah.
upgrade that place. I don't know.
I think he is,
Yeah.
really and truly. Yeah. He's a good
So
kid.
That's great. You know.
Those are the people that don't say anything. They just buy and do their thing.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, they're here. They're here to stay.
Well, that's good. And
It is
we
good.
should be seeing how we can help them.
Well, and
I mean, that's
Go and see it.
our job, but.
Yeah.
They know how to play the game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
they
sure.
play well. That's why they own so much. But I wish the racetrack could be something that we could do with.
Yeah.
It's just a place that could be so many things. You know, I mean, there's a river running through it with good fishing. Fishing is great there. And, you know, just to go in there and cut it up in places where people could camp out and just you're down there, you don't know nothing. You don't know the rest of the
ATV
town.
track, you know, they want an ATV track in town, why not?
Well, no, they didn't really want
Shame that the building got wrecked.
We need the building flattened
Yeah.
and it needs Montpelier to be there. They have to do it. We can't do it. But they,
Maybe, I mean,
Is there any
I think
status on
that is a
that?
priority in terms of the plan. If we could get that thing cleaned up.
oh,
I
God.
don't know if we can have access, and you're right, we can't do it, but, you know, trying to engage with Montpelier.
Well, I've sent people up there that tried and tried and tried and just, you know, it doesn't work.
Well, we don't own the property either.
I know, but, you know,
Well, they keep saying put a fence around it. Yeah, fence around the damn thing, you know, that's not gonna work. He called and said, can you get some people to put a fence around it? I said, come on, how much are you gonna pay them? You know, and what kind of fence you gonna put around it? You know,
well.
anyway, that's,
I was saying there's land on our side, on the Route 7 side,
there is
that's developable.
very, very,
And that's interesting. I mean, that's probably not where we want the low income housing or whatever, but,
no.
but it could be commercial stuff.
It could be a truck stop. It could be so many things.
Yeah,
It could be a dynamite place. I hope Stewart's buys it someday and gets out of the corner down there. Although they like being first over the line, though, it's
Sure.
good. But they got the money, they got the land, and they got the way to do it.
yeah.
They built a nice place out in New York. I didn't
I
even
know,
see
I
it.
saw that. I was amazed.
Yeah, I turned around one day and there it is. Like, whoa,
Oh,
yeah, nice place.
Well, I
And that's a place that would fit down there perfectly. Oh, my God.
the ideal vision for Powell would be a place where everybody can like live, cohabitate in place, and have less likelihood of being anything near low income. You know, if you could earn something while you're in town, if you could have a small business on your place, and enough something that would be feasible enough to get enough support to be able to have it, you know.
I think there's all the businesses in Powell make money.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
uh-huh.
And it's just the right amount. I don't know what the hell you
I
do.
don't know, I go into the former gardeners there or whatever.
Yeah,
it's called,
yeah.
and It looks like there's not much going on in there.
I know. But maybe it does. I don't know. She sells a lot of things. She makes soap. She does a lot of things there.
Yeah.
Well, I guess what I was getting at is I have a problem with planning or building towards low income,
Uh-huh.
you know. I would rather build towards an American dream, you know, small living, a little bit more moderate living and, you know, as high as you want to go. But,
Yeah. I mean,
setting up a place, you're calling it low income housing,
No.
you're inviting it.
Well,
I didn't mean low
No,
income.
no.
I meant just a lesser expensive house instead of a $600 or an $800.
Affordable housing.
Which there is, I don't even know if there is such.
I don't think there is. I don't think there
You're
is.
talking to affordable. This-
Yeah. Very expensive. Affordable, Great Barrington found
But I
out.
was thinking more about the senior housing, which is probably, you know, if you're on fixed income and inflation is happening,
Yeah.
you know, it's not gonna be expensive stuff. We're not
Right.
gonna build a Sweetwood or a Kimball
Right.
Farms
Yeah.
in town.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to come and do it,
Yeah.
great.
Great.
Yeah. You know, it's their problem to fill it, right?
Yeah.
You know, have a senior place with a little community center and maybe a craft store where you can buy
Mhm.
knit needles and,
That one they built in Williamstown on the bluff over the coal pond, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really nice. And they have all these little
Mhm.
places where you have raised garden beds if you want to do that, and little places to sit around.
Yeah.
That's
some of these
that's a
places in Bennington, North Bennington, they're really beautiful places,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, yeah.
and the people are happy. you know.
So where do we go from here?
Well, it seems like we'll have the notes of all the ideas, and it'd be nice if next time we could somehow put it into a statement.
Mostly what we talked about is affordable housing and rubbish removal,
And what?
rubbish removal,
Well,
you know.
That can work. That, you know, we haven't tested the new compactors and
Right.
heard any numbers out of it.
The starter vision that's listed here are preserve the town's natural beauty and rural character, and I think we
Yep.
agree on that.
Yep.
Responsible development and infrastructural renewal, that's for sure.
I'm not sure what that means. I mean, I understand the words, but I'm.
How does it work upon-
The direction that,
Definitely keeping up with our infrastructure, like what we've been dealing with our bridge.
yeah,
You know,
that drives me nuts.
that long road through Williamstown to get back to Route 7 to go to Bennington was like at 4:30
Dirt road,
4:30 in the
no
morning.
trucks. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
But they travel that road over there. They love it.
Yeah.
They don't have to come down the village at all.
Right.
They just scoot to
Yeah.
Williamstown.
Yeah.
Which is nice, but 2 or 3 cars a day, you know, not on all that
Yeah.
traffic.
Yeah. The third one, I don't really get. Ensure inclusivity and resist unwanted gentrification.
I'm not sure what that.
Yes, what?
Resist unwanted gentrification.
Well, that's, the families moving out and, it suddenly gets more expensive and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure
Yeah.
that means.
Yeah, I don't think it means anything for us.
Yeah. Address blighted areas with enforcement and investment.
Another one I was questioning.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you don't enforce the laws. I mean, we have to enforce the laws, but we also have to recognize.
Yeah. People's right. Somebody shouldn't be able to take your property and degrade it.
Well,
I don't know. I know this. I know this.
I think the town government was doing a good job managing it because there was a lot of people that were angry. And they wanted the town to just go in and crush the person or hit all of his stuff.
Right.
And you can't do it.
You can't do it.
it's like, but they had a meeting and it got talked over with the guy being right here and for the time being, at least, it's
It was a
resolved.
step in the right direction.
Yeah.
There's a lot more needs to happen.
A lot more needs to happen,
But
yeah.
as far as enforcement goes, I mean, we came up with the solid waste ordinance. And the hangup has always been enforcement because there's only so much you can do. Bennington gets away with stuff because they've got deep pockets. And it's like they can take it, they can gamble and maybe get the right judge at the right time or whatever and get and win.
But well, like I said at the beginning, I'd like to see the transfer station seen as a community service, not as a break even thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that changing people's head on that
Yeah.
might be helpful.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe the idea of funding the permits, the transfer station permits,
Possibly, yeah.
the way we're doing it with the wastewater treatment. The annual X amount of money for take, your membership ticket for the year.
Yeah, that'd be a start. You could certainly do that fairly quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know. The select board.
Do you want to be a selectman?
And the last point was,
Whatsoever.
the last point was just support existing residents and attract modest businesses. Both good ideas. Take a lot of work in both areas, I think, to make something happen.
Well, land is very valuable in Pownell.
Yeah.
And, as that lot I'm talking about next to, across from Burrington's.
Yep.
I wonder what she wants for that.
Yeah.
you know? And next to me, I think she wants over $100,000 for that piece of property next to me,
Yeah.
How big is it?
10 acres.
10 acres?
Yeah. It's on the racetrack, it would have sold.
When I first bought land in Pownell in early 80s, it was $1,000 an acre.
Yeah, roughly $1,000 an acre, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Well, I'd love to let, the notes from tonight and maybe, because I like doing this kind of thing, trying to see if I can weave it together into like a vision statement.
Yeah.
That we could then chew over or whatever.
Yeah.
we'll share it.
Yeah.
I think we're on the right track.
So, I think we've
We're not trying to do anything, you know.
we've talked enough about our vision for tonight.
Well, unless there are other things.
Any
No.
Any other ideas? So on to the next agenda item, we're talking, I had the notion that it might be a good idea for us to take a field trip,
What?
to take a field trip to the wastewater treatment plant and get information, just get an understanding.
Uh-huh.
I can be told, you can tell me all you want about it. And it's like, I'm not gonna get it until I'm there
And see it.
and see it and understand it, so,
I think that's a good idea.
yeah. So
And we can ask our questions.
So we can-
The answers.
if we can agree that, it's not mandatory for anybody to, but we should try to have a quorum, at least call it a meeting,
Is it a meeting or is it just a field trip?
field trip. Well, how do they handle that?
If all of you go, it needs to be
It's a-
warned as a meeting.
Yeah.
Well, it's a site visit, but it does get warned like a meeting.
Yeah. But assuming that at least four of us are gonna wanna do it, so I would say warn it as a meeting.
But do we have to take minutes and?
So we're meeting with Darcy?
Yeah, vague minutes, yeah, for a site visit.
Oh,
Yeah.
Come on a field trip with us.
Do you want me to email Darcy?
yeah, if you don't mind, I think it would be a good idea for us to do that.
Yeah. So we would do this during business hours on a weekday, I assume? Or to be able, I don't know when she's.
Well, it would have to be
When she's there,
either weekend or
Is she there on weekends? I don't know.
Sometimes when she's doing lab duty.
late
That's the
afternoon.
hard thing, weekdays would probably be better for her, she works usually like 7 to 3:30.
Yeah.
She works a lot of overtime,
We don't want to add to that. But I'm flexible. I can do it.
Somewhere like
I'm retired, so I'm
around 2:00, I can get out
I
of
can
work
do it
early
whenever.
on a day or something, and,
I can-
so at the end of the day.
yeah.
So you're gonna speak to her?
Um,
I'll
she's
email
gonna
her,
go.
I'll CC.
So why don't you give us like 2 or 3 different dates that she's available and we can decide.
So this would be
Well-
after our next meeting? Or you want to get it in before?
depends.
let's let her do it and we'll discuss it the next meeting.
Yeah, because the site visit has to be warned 2 weeks in advance
Yeah,
anyways.
right,
yeah.
So
So-
after the next meeting.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
So we could
So-
simplify it.
say 3 weeks to a month from now, would that be
Yeah.
reasonable?
One of those tours where you drink the water, where it comes out.
Now,
I think so.
it's not on the agenda, but, I got an email from Jen from the Parks and Recreation, wanting to talk over the BCRC report.
Okay.
You mentioned it. I glanced at it. And she asked if we could do like a joint meeting.
Oh.
So, and I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, they seem to be real go-getters right now.
yeah. So if we could be added to either their agenda,
Do you want me to coordinate that with Jen?
if you don't mind.
Well, since you are.
Do you have a preference about them coming to one of your meetings, are you going to?
And I don't have a preference. So,
When do
they,
they meet?
I think
the second Tuesday,
Okay.
I think-
fine.
That's great.
right before Concom.
Let's just do the second, I mean, if they want us.
Okay,
Sure.
We kind
Whether or
of,
not they have coffee.
I don't know if all of us,
At their game.
all of us have looked at it. Some of us have looked at it and it looks pretty interesting. Got some interesting points I'd like to learn more about.
Yeah. They did a nice presentation. You can watch the video of
Yeah.
that.
It's nice.
Okay, so those two things bring us to public comment.
there is nobody in right now.
Anybody want to make a public comment? Kate, you want to make a public comment?
No, not yet.
Okay.
So, looks like I could entertain a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Moved,
Yeah, second.
second, all in favor? Aye. All right.
It's a delay on that.